Hello, my name is Justin Whitcomb, and I am the lead pastor of Veritas Bible Church in Warren, Michigan. I just want to thank you for continuing along with us as we go through our teaching series on biblical theology. This is the 20th video of this series, and in this video, we'll be closing not only our section concerning the content of prophetic revelation, but this is also going to be a close to the second revelatory epoch, the prophetic epoch, and then we will now move into our third revelatory epoch, the New Testament epoch. And so, in this particular video, we will examine the content of prophetic revelation as it pertains to what is known as prophetic eschatology. As we consider the eschatological teaching of the prophets, it's important that we define what we mean by the term eschatology. We derive the doctrinal name from the Greek term eschatos, which most commonly translates to the word last. And so this means that what we are examining in this video is the teaching on the last things according to the prophets. As we consider eschatology, there are other resources concerning the subject matter, such as the New Testament epistles and the book of Revelation. What stands out concerning the prophetic teaching on eschatology is the focus on future judgment and restoration. The events that take place amidst the prophets are not happening with mere temporal effects, but are rather setting the stage for future events. The eschatological context of judgment and restoration in the prophets means that they are looking to the end of these things. Our examination will have a primary focus on the prophets of Isaiah and Hosea. And while other prophets contain eschatological components in their writings, some more robust than others, it is within these prophets that we see this subject matter on full and clear display. And so, as we look to the teaching found in Hosea, the first thing we see is the idea of judgment is prominently seen due to the individual in it. The judgment in this text has a rather immediate context. Hosea 13:14 says, I shall ransom them from the power of Sheol. I shall redeem them from death. O death, where are your plagues? O Sheol, where is your sting? Compassion is hidden from my eyes. So as we look to the judgment described in Hosea, much of it is chastisement out of love to direct Israel back to obedience. In this verse, though, we see that there is a culmination of judgment in which Yahweh will not spare death from Israel. He shall redeem them, but not spare them from judgment. Hosea 14:4 says, I will heal their apostasy. I will love them freely, for my anger has turned from them. As we progress to the next chapter in Hosea, there is a promise that from this great judgment, God will bring restoration and reconciliation to his people. Now, this rapid progression from a declaration of judgment to glory and redemption is a characteristic of this prophetic revelation. As we progress to Isaiah, we will see the judgment in Isaiah is primarily a judgment of purification. Isaiah 2:12 says, For the Lord of hosts has a day against all that is proud and lofty, against all that is lifted up, and it shall be brought low. In this text, the day of judgment is the day of the Lord. It is on this day that God will bring forth his judgment, and all who have transgressed him will be required to bring atonement for their sin. While the dynamics of judgment and restoration are more complex within Isaiah, we do see a great emphasis on the future glory of God's people. Isaiah 4:2 through 5 says, In that day the branch of the Lord shall be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the land shall be the pride and honor of the survivors of Israel. And he who is left in Zion and remains in Jerusalem will be called holy, everyone who has been recorded for life in Jerusalem. When the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and cleansed the bloodstains of Jerusalem from its midst by a spirit of judgment and by a spirit of burning. Then the Lord will create over the whole site of Mount Zion and over her assemblies, a cloud by day and smoke, and the shining of a flaming fire by night. For all the glory there will be a canopy. This is a truly remarkable passage. The text gives such a vivid description of the perfection that will consume the in the consume life in the presence of God. We see that they will it will come through the fires of judgment, but that there will be this purification that leads to perfection. All that is done will bring glory to Yahweh, and He will be the one that ensures its goodness. Isaiah 65:17 through 19 says, For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former things shall not be remembered or come into mind. But be glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem to be a joy, and her people to be a gladness. I will rejoice in Jerusalem and be glad in my people. No more shall be heard in it the sound of weeping, the cry of distress. And so this passage is another example of the blessed glory that is in store for the restoration of God's people. The rest of chapter 65 continues this glorious reality. What is so spectacular about this passage is the immediate mirroring with creation. The restoration that God brings is a perfectly new work. He will create a new heavens and a new earth, and then there will be a new Jerusalem in which the people of God will dwell with God in their presence, and there will be no more weeping or cries of distress. And so the prophets here speak to a great eschatological hope. And so as this video comes to a close, what we have seen throughout the scriptures is that our God is perfectly just and perfectly merciful. These texts reveal that God is fixed in his judgment against sin. This is not something he tolerates, and this judgment ultimately has a culmination. There will be a great day of judgment against wickedness, which is a great hope for those who have put our faith in Christ. However, also the good news is that God's plan for redemption and restoration will not fail. The prophets bring a consistent word that God will redeem his people, and in their redemption, they will find themselves fully restored to the glory of God. And so this is the hope that the prophets continue to point us as followers of God, as his children to today. And so again, this brings us to a close in this video. I hope you continue along with us in this series on biblical theology. God bless.